will do that yet.
Even with the lights not on, you can still draw on it and stuff up here on the
Hey.
computer.
That's crazy.
Only if it's open on my screen. Okay, people. Here we go. So, I know Beth. You're my point of contact. We play in the South
SMSU Community Band.
I don't know what's her full name. We both play French horn. She plays first. I had to play her part last night. I butchered it. Beth works at US Bank as well, and she brought some co-workers with her. We had this conversation. I told her that I was bringing in guest speakers to talk to my English classes, and she's like, that sounds really cool. And she made this happen. So we owe her a thank you. So this is Beth, this is Tyler, Brittany, and Matt. I have their names down, but I also cheated. And they are here today to talk to you first about what they do with US Bank, and then also talk to you about Toastmasters and what that is. And no, it is not people making toast and throwing it at one another. That question has come up 3 times in 2 days, so they can explain that a little bit more for you. Okay? I'll let them take the floor. Have at it.
Let's let Brittany start since she's our club president.
Okay, so my name is Brittany. I've been with US Bank for almost 3.5 years. I started with the bank, first job after college. I am president of our Toastmasters club at the bank. We are a corporate club, so the bank sponsors our club and they actually pay us to be a part of the club. My job with the bank is high-level overview. I'm a quality assurance analyst, and basically part of it is proofreading documents, desk manuals, and making sure that they have proper grammar and spelling, things like that, sentences make sense. I also work with different teams when we need to combine processes or anything like that, and making sure that what we're doing actually correlates to some of the federal regulations that we have to abide with since we are a financial institution. Within Toastmasters, which I'll just touch briefly on it, we'll get a little bit more of that from Beth. We work on communication and leadership skills are the 2 main things that we work on. As president, I make sure that things that we need to report to the national organization are done on time. It's also kind of in my job description to be like the cheerleader of the club and keep pushing everyone through. My other officers have actual duties. Really, president, people know, right? You're a figurehead. You know, you don't have maybe specific duties, but you're to be the face. You're the one that keeps people driving forward. I like being president. It just gives me different responsibilities to do. Toastmasters in my job has helped me get promotions and formal recognition. Communication skills, the importance of them cannot be overstated. No matter what you do in your life, it's important to be able to effectively communicate with people, and Toastmasters gives me the opportunity to continually practice those skills and just be a better employee overall.
I'm Matt. Hello. I've been with US Bank for a little under 6 months, fairly new. I'm from Chicago originally. I just moved here. Go Cubs. I took a position at US Bank. I've done a lot of things. I was in the military for 4.5 years. I played baseball in Marshall for the A's. So I'm kind of getting used to the small town life. It's a slow transition, but it's fun. I'm the VP of membership in the Toastmasters Club. My role is to acquire new members, organize, we have a membership drive, to basically promote the club in its its entirety. So it's a new role as well. I'm new like everything. I'm just a baby in like life. So I just got elected that role. So I'm still kind of getting my feet wet in it as well. In the bank, I'm a collector. I'm pretty much the guy that comes knocking on your door when you don't pay your bills. We work, yeah, I know, it seems great. We work with with businesses who lease equipment from us, whether it's copiers. I deal with copiers and printers, fun stuff. And these companies will get delinquent. I'll call them with my money, and the process kind of goes on from there. I love Toastmasters. It just gives me the chance to, I love to talk. I can stand up here and talk to you guys all day, but that's not fair. So it gives me the chance to kind of be more aware of how I speak and how I present myself, my eye contact, my so's, likes. Have you guys ever actually kept track of how many likes you hear when you're talking? I'm still guilty of it. Most of us up here still are. But it gives you the opportunity to be more cognizant of how you're speaking, how you're portraying yourself, how you're formulating your thoughts. And it's just a great club to be a part of, because as you progress in the club, you gain recognition. You can impart it in your daily life, in your duties, your roles as a banker and as a Toastmaster member. So it's definitely very rewarding. That's what I got for you.
I'm Tyler. I've been with the bank for almost 3 years. In Toastmasters, I am the Vice President of Education. For my role in the job in US Bank, I am technically my classification is Servicing Specialist Investigations. Basically what that is, I investigate fraud and any kind of fraudulent activity against US Bank Equipment Finance. So that includes vendors trying to defraud us in bad invoices, or other even customers trying to take the equipment out of the country, or saying that they're this customer and they're not really that customer, and then they take off with their money and our equipment as well. Happens a lot more than people think. A lot of it goes on behind the scenes. A lot of people don't know that, but that's pretty much what I do. Is I just investigate fraud, and I do a lot of communication with senior leaders. On occasion, when you're just sitting there and all of a sudden you get an email from someone underneath the president of your division, and it's like, hey, this needs to get looked at in the next 24 hours, and we need a resolution or an answer to this. A lot of it's putting out fires, and it's fun some days. Other days it's a lot of minute details, looking at different things, making sure everything is correct. For Vice President of Education, I encourage people to continue on with their education part of Toastmasters. As Brittany said, there's a communication track and leadership tracks. And what that entails is making sure that people know what the education does, how to do it, and just what needs to be done next.
Thanks, Tyler. My name is Beth. I work in general ledger accounting and control. I have also had some experience in the collateral area. I learned how to do uniform commercial code filings. I worked in sales tax and property tax for a while, and currently am in the accounting area. How many of you have a checking account with a checkbook register? Super. I do that for some of the bank's accounts every day. Reconcile the bank account balance to the register or a report. I have to make sure that I get my accounts balanced down to the penny. If there are any problems, then I work with fellow workers in the cash applications area or in the disbursements control area. That's either where the money comes in or where the money flows out, to make sure that we can fix up the accounts so that they're in balance. There are other people who work in the Twin Cities for US Bank that audit the accounts that we have to make sure that we're showing all the financial transactions correctly according to accounting rules. That's really important, has been for a long time, but especially important since that Sarbanes-Oxley Act was put into effect. Banks have to be very careful about how they record loaning money, receiving money from customers. In our club, I'm the treasurer. I collect the dues. We use the dues to purchase materials, to buy supplies for our new member meetings, purchase awards. We receive pins. Sometimes we use our dues money for door prizes when we have guest meetings. Those are the things that I do for our club.
Can you tell us and clarify for us that you're not at a branch, you're not tellers, you're not distributing money, you're doing something different?
Correct. Yeah, we work in what's classified as equipment finance. So we lease money out to business owners for like equipment. It could be anywhere from copiers, printers, medical,
Computers.
computers, one business line. They do aircraft, big machines, ships, rail cars. I think one of the most interesting things is that they do wine barrels as well.
Livestock?
No, we don't do livestock.
We used to, right?
Probably not.
Oh, that might be
That might be community
different
banking.
area.
But pretty much any equipment that you might use for a business, we will probably lease. We actually lease cloud space. I have no idea how that works because,
Interesting.
yeah, that's something that's boggling my mind because it's cloud space you don't ever physically own it. You got me on that one. I don't know how they sell it.
Fire away, ask them some questions.
Okay, is your job salary based or hourly based?
I am hourly based. I've been hourly based since I joined the bank, and I don't see any difference. Obviously, people that are salaried are usually managers and stuff like that, or people bring it into their salary, aren't you?
I was salary based until they were gonna pass the new legislation about paying overtime, even if you were salaried and didn't make enough, so then the bank went through and just, everyone underneath that magic number got cut back to hourly,
Oh.
and then they didn't pass the legislation. But now I get paid overtime, so I'll accept it. But there are people on my team above that threshold who are salaried.
I'm hourly.
So is the Toastmasters thing, is that like an acronym for something then? Or is it just a name?
Nope, just
Like,
Toastmasters.
Toastmasters is the club. Beth, do you wanna give our little history spiel on it?
A few of these guys, we talked about Dale Carnegie in speech class the other day, and a few of them have no idea, so that's where they're making a connection.
The Toastmasters course was started by a man whose name was Ralph Smedley. He developed this during the 1930s. And if you have studied in your social studies or history classes, that was a tough time for the economy in the US, right? People were out of work. There was a drought in many areas. My grandparents lived in North Dakota, and my mother remembers the Dust Bowl, because they had no vegetation, and every time the wind blew, dust, so they couldn't raise agricultural crops. People couldn't get work. Mr. Smedley was the director of a YMCA. He had a lot of young men coming to stay there. Back in those days, the YMCA was a place that you could go for a shower, a meal, you could stay there overnight, plus some activities that they would offer. He developed the Toastmasters course to help these young men gain the skills that they needed to go out to interview for a job and then to keep that job. And it involved good communication skills with small groups, learning how to lead a meeting, learning how to answer a question concisely. Right now, there are Toastmasters clubs in countries all over the world, not just the United States. There are over 300,000 members. That's just a little background of Toastmasters. US Bank values the material and the skills that we gain when we go through that course and keep being a member of the club. If we go to our club meeting twice a month out of 4 times, they'll reimburse our dues. They think it's that important. They want their employees to develop good communication skills, and they'll help us with the dues in order to do that, because the company can see the benefits.
And when you're talking about US Bank that way, it's not just US Bank at your location. That's one of the overarching goals of US Bank, right?
Correct.
As one of
There are
those,
clubs in multiple locations, yes.
as that worldwide impact from being
Yes.
one of those Fortune 500 companies.
Question there?
Oh, yeah, how do you settle with employee disputes?
How do we settle employee disputes?
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. Back to that. Me in my position, I get a lot of complaints. I get a lot of disputes just because people tend to have issues with, you know, their contract or their equipment not working. And so there's a lot of different levels you go through to handle those disputes. You want to be empathetic. You never hound somebody. US Bank we're not like your typical collectors where we're hounding you, we're pestering you, we're badgering you for money. We just call as a courtesy, hey, you know, is there anything we can do for you? You want to be empathetic towards your customers. You want to help try to understand a problem as opposed to jumping on a problem and putting the blame on somebody. So I just try to be empathetic. understanding why they're in the situation they're in, and offer my assistance in how to resolve their problems.
I work on a team with a lot of strong personalities. Actually, a lot of the people on my team are very, and self-admittedly, they tend to be more aggressive people, and this is how I feel, this is how I want it to be done, so this is how I'm going to move forward with how things need to be done, which is not always the best approach. Sometimes you need to be firm with people, and sometimes you need to take a step back and try to work on it together. For me, keeping peace or harmony within a team is actually one of my strengths, so I found that I tend to take on that role with my team. I know when I work with certain people that I need to bite my tongue, or I just need to let them take charge, or sometimes my manager likes to call it, we distract our senior manager. She likes to get off topic, so it's learning that you can't give her a bunch of information up front because she does something else with it. So learning other people's communication styles and how they not only give information, but how they receive information is huge, because now I know using certain words will trigger her to think something else, so I don't use those words, or giving her information in a different way so it doesn't have adverse effects is something that's been really crucial to me and my team to avoid disputes and arguments.
Forgot what the question was too.
No, I'm the only one in equipment finance that does this role, so I'm pretty much by myself.
No disputes.
Basically, I'm in a corner somewhere by a window and they just leave me alone.
Normally, there's an office space, that's Milton.
I don't have red stapler. I like them, but primarily though, I mean, if you ever have any disputes, I mean, obviously you wanna try to settle it with the person, but a lot of times you may not see eye to eye. I've not seen eye to eye with many people. Not at US Bank. US Bank has been pretty good. I don't really ever get into disputes with them, but at previous jobs, I mean, a couple other people never saw eye to eye on things, and it escalated, unfortunately. Not to violence, but words were said between each other, and it would wind up having to be resolved by our manager. But I've learned from those experiences and just kind of grown and just be like, all right, you have your opinion, I have my opinion, let's move on and get the work done.
I can add to that, let's get the work done. I view my workplace, we're all working as a team to get servicing that customer accomplished. I don't have much contact with external customers. Most of my work is done with people who work in other departments within the building. If we ever have a challenge, it's because some money has been posted incorrectly or paid out incorrectly. I don't ever point out, oh, this person made this mistake. I see some money has been posted incorrectly. No blame. We avoid that as much as possible. We just go back to that department and work with whoever's available to make the correction. And especially because I appreciate it when I make mistakes that, oh, Beth, you made a really bad mistake. No, I haven't ever experienced that. They'll point it out that I made a mistake, but we all work together as a team because our main goal is keeping those accounts in balance, funds applied correctly to customers' accounts, amounts paid out correctly to whoever we owe.
Did you guys go to college for your careers?
I did not. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I joined the Navy right out of high school, and then the Navy paid for my college. So I got my degree in business administration with a minor in marketing. I worked in healthcare. I've ran assisted living facilities. I've bartended. I've worked overnight at hotels. I've pretty much done everything. I mean, the business degree is kind of general. So I mean, you don't even have to have a college degree to work at US Bank. So don't get that. You don't have to have one. It's just something that I was like, well, I can get it paid for. College is expensive, and the Navy allowed me to do that.
So I also went to school for marketing. I, at the time, thought I wanted to be a marketing consultant. Quickly learned that consulting is a horrible lifestyle, and most business consultants don't last more than 5 years because you are on the road 75 to 80% of the time living out of a suitcase, and to me that sounded awful. Then I thought I wanted to work with sports for a little bit in college, doing sports marketing. Super fun. Once again, you're working 70 to 80 hours a week, getting paid like crap in the beginning because everyone wants to work in sports because it is so fun. And I wound up, I'm originally from Fulda, so I moved back here after graduation. I got sick of living in Minneapolis, that's where I went to school, and never thought that I would have worked at a bank. But the thing about marketing you learn is it's basically convincing people to believe what you're saying, is marketing in a nutshell.
It's basically lying.
And it's not lying, it's just getting people to believe what you're saying, packaging it up in the way that you want them to see that. And I actually have to use that a lot in my job. I'm in a quality assurance position. A lot of the times I have to tell people that they have to do stuff that they don't want to do. Or I have to get people to compromise on something, and knowing how to package that up in Toastmasters, knowing how to say things so that maybe people think that you're giving them what they want, even though you're not, I use that every day.
I went to school for business management. Has nothing to do with what I went to school for, my current job. None of the positions I've ever worked at had anything to do with my college degree. However, it's good to have. It teaches. College isn't necessary, but it is a good tool to have. Doesn't mean you have to go to school for a 4-year degree or anything like that. There's many other options, but it's just good to have go forward in your career.
The first time I went to college, I took the classes so that I could be a music teacher. I really loved music and wanted to do that. Taught school for several years, decided that I needed to find a job that used some of my strengths the best, and that was being analytical. How many of you like math and science? Okay, those are the things that I'm most interested in and do well at. Music is sort of analytical too, that's why I like music. Went back and took some classes in computer science, and also did the accounting classes so that I understand all the rules that we need to use when we're reconciling accounts.
So you talked about lying in marketing. Can you discuss ethics in banking and how you see that?
Yeah, ethics is very important, especially working with, in banking. You have access to a lot of confidential information. Pretty much people are entrusting you to handle their finances. So it's a very, very important role to have. I know I was talking to my manager, and she said a kid who, he must have been 14 or 15, he stole a candy bar. At that age, it stuck with him and he couldn't get hired at US Bank because of a little candy bar that he took when he was 14.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not kidding, I was talking to Jessica about that. And so it's, things like that, they really look into hiring the best people because they have to trust you with this information. So it's a very tedious hiring process. Basically, don't do drugs. Okay, go.
Ethics it's super important not only for the bank. We're in an age where consumers expect a lot more out of their companies. It's no longer okay to just be a good company and have good products. We are expecting companies to be socially responsible. We're not giving anyone a pass. Great, you make a ton of money, you make good products. Now invest that money back in the community. Be responsible with it. Don't allow people to do insider trading or embezzle. We want to see, if people do that, we want to see them be held accountable for it, and we expect change from those companies. So it's super important. That's actually why I stopped Matt and said it's not lying. That's not the intent, if you're doing marketing correctly, is not to lie.
I was kidding.
People, right? They always want transparency from their companies. I said this in an earlier group, as an employee, that's something that it's one of the most important things to me, to have transparency in the company that I work for, so that I know what we're doing and I know why we're doing it. Changes that are made, I understand why they're being made, and I think that's important to me as a consumer as well, and that's something when you guys get out there, just really research those things for your companies. You could have a job you love, but if it is for a horrible company, it's going to be awful. We have all talked about in all these classes that we honestly love working for a US Bank. And no, we're not trying to sell you on banking there or that this is where you should work. We have a culture that encourages us to give back to our communities. It allows us to come here, take the afternoon off, and talk to you guys. This is paid volunteer time for us because the bank realizes that the better our communities are and the stronger our communities are, the better the company is going to be. If their employees are more happy and invested, then they'll perform better at work. And that's something, if your company is a strong, ethical company, you can be proud of. I'm proud to say that I work at the bank, which is continually one of the most ethical banks. And, right, you want to be able to trust your bank with your money. No one wants to think that their bank is shady.
Pretty much. Yeah, ethics is a very important role in any business but in banking, we are heavily regulated by federal, state, local laws. If you think that there's not a law for banking, there probably is. Because they want to make sure that we're doing the right thing. And when a bank does the wrong thing, you will see it in the news. And that's the age of social media and everything else like that. It's just what happens. And that's why US Bank puts such a heavy focus on ethics. We take numerous courses on ethics. We have ethics handbooks, guidelines. We have to certify that we will follow these ethics every single year. And if not, you will be terminated. That's just the facts. If you violate ethics at US Bank, you will be terminated from this position. And you will probably never work at US Bank ever again, or probably any other bank for that matter. A good thing to remember, now that I'm probably scared of going from banking, but about giving back to the community. Tracy, Minnesota, they just got a grant from US Bank for like $15,000 to $20,000 for a new playground. Every year, US Bank opens up in Minnesota as part of the pillars of giving back. They have a lot of people to submit grants on what they want to do, and I think US Bank gave out like $150,000 for communities to upgrade their playgrounds or even put in new playgrounds and things like that. So that's something, you never would think that a bank would give back like that or any business, but that's part of the social responsibility of an ethical company is giving back to communities that do grant. Yes.
So where would you get the money to give out those grants? Is it just like
From profit.
just from the profit?
And
I wasn't sure if it was like some kind of like fundraiser or something like
there
that.
is some part of like the Tracy Park was part of the Minnesota Places to Play grant. So the bank, part of our naming rights to the US Bank Stadium is a partnership with the Vikings and this Places to Play grant and donating money. And so it's come from a lot of different sources. We also every year do an employee giving campaign where we're donating our own dollars and those go to the United Way of Southwest Minnesota and the bank matches, they did up to $40,000 this year that they matched US Bank corporate of money that we in Marshall would donate our own money and then they match that and all of that money stays in Southwest Minnesota for the various programs that the United Way puts on.
And so all in all, we donated about $100,000 to the United Way just this year.
Just the Marshall branch.
Just the
which
Marshall
We
branch.
have like 550 employees there.
Yeah, so that's part of giving back, is that's part of the culture and part of the ethics.
Go ahead.
What would you say is the most valuable thing you learned in high school or college?
Me first? I'll go with the same answer that I did the first class. The most valuable thing that I learned in college was how to learn. Not necessarily all those facts. I can never remember all those facts. There's too much knowledge out there in every discipline. I can never know it all. But if I need to know something, I know the ways to go about learning it. I know how to research to find it. I know how to tell whether a source is a valid source, a good source or not. I learned how to write about it. I have learned how to speak about it so that groups that I would speak to can understand the basic knowledge. I won't be speaking in front of a really expert group on those topics, but for a general audience, I'm able to do that. I learned how to learn.
I learned, one of the biggest things I learned in college, one of the most valuable lessons I learned was in high school, from my baseball coach. And he told me, you know, just the way you watch that fastball come in, you know, it looks like one thing, but it could turn into another. And it's perception. It's being aware of everything around you and kind of being proactive in making things happen. So he said, the only thing that comes to a sleeper is a dream, right? So you can dream all you want, but if you're being dormant and you're sleeping on everything on a daily basis, you're not going to make those things happen. So it's just kind of being proactive in your life, and you know, no matter what you want to be, there's nothing wrong with being a garbage man. If you're going to be a garbage man, be the best garbage man you can be. If you're going to be the president, then be a better president than we have now. I mean, it is what it is. So, do whatever you want to do, just be the best at it. So that's one of the things I learned.
How much time do you have left?
You have about 15 minutes left. They get out at 28.
I don't need to answer this one.
Yeah.
You wanna go to another
Yeah,
question?
Go ahead.
What was your first job?
My first job,
Like
high school?
Like
first job ever, like
Yeah, first
15?
job ever.
my first job, which will make me sound really old, is I worked in a video store.
Some of the video stores.
Not very many, but
Yay, Blockbuster.
it was
Yeah.
not
Family
Blockbuster.
Video?
No, it was just a local one, and I worked at a video store for about a year, and then I told them to kick rocks because they wouldn't let me play sports. Oh my God! They kept scheduling me when I was supposed to be at practice and everything, so I left there, and then I worked construction, went in the Army, got out, and then went from there.
I was a lifeguard and I taught swimming lessons. Yeah, no. It's
Oh, she
not
gave
like,
them-
it's not like Baywatch running on a beach. It's like
I'm a lifeguard now, she's not
mucus
lying.
and cleaning bathrooms and crying kids is the reality of working at an indoor pool.
She gave a great speech on that.
My first job, I worked at Cold Stone Creamery.
Ooh.
So, no. People would mess with you every time you get a tip. You have to sing, like no matter what. So people would put pennies in there, and you still have to sing. Our renditions of like Britney Spears. And,
I bet you were good at it though.
yeah, I was good. I was great. It was great.
Toxic.
Don't provoke him.
I was thinking of the word. I might.
Remember, this is being video recorded?
After that. Oh, yeah, question.
Roger that.
Oh yeah, how has technology influenced your career?
We use quite a bit of technology in what we do every day, otherwise we would not be able to handle the volume of transactions that come through. Right now, our building is going through a 2-year upgrade project. The software that we use to keep track of all the leases, the company that owns that, allows us to use it, is going to discontinue servicing our version. So it would be like if you have Windows 7 or Windows 10, Microsoft pretty soon won't support those. You have to upgrade. We have to upgrade in 2 years to the new version. We have many people that are working just on that project and on regular day-to-day business. Some of us are taking over for their parts of the jobs. Technology is very important. Behind the scenes, to our customers, we want it to appear to them as if this change will be seamless. One Friday, they're going to say, this is the last day we use this system. By Monday, we have to be on the new one. They'll be calling in, what's my account balance? Because of all the good testing that we hope will be done, the people should be able to answer with the correct numbers. Technology is very important.
And when technology goes wrong, what happens?
We can't work. Literally, we can't work if our technology does not work. All of our programs are pretty much web-based, and if they don't work, and if our internet doesn't work, we can't work. Or it's stored on shared drives, and
If the server's down.
you know, if the server's down, you can't access or work. Yeah, there's just, you would not realize how technologically dependent we are on for our jobs. Without technology, we wouldn't have, well, we would have to go back to paper, but it would not be as big as what we're doing now.
How much change do you think your careers will see in the next 10 years?
every class asks that same question, well done. I guess I'll say this different ways. In 10 years, you know, I don't see myself in the same position. US Bank has a lot of opportunities up there, not just within Marshall, but in Minneapolis and Portland. You know, there's opportunities to grow within the company up to, you know, senior level management. So my position, it was a great way to get started with the company, great foot in the door. You know, I definitely see myself at US Bank for, you know, in 10 years. But, you know, I wanna make some upward movement. So where I'm at now is a great place to be, to learn every department. I get to communicate with, you know, people from pretty much every department, you know, in the bank, so it's a good place to be, so.
Did your military career help you get ready for what you're doing now?
I probably wouldn't have a job if I didn't get in the military. The military does teach you a lot, and that's something that US Bank also values as well. They have a special resource group for veterans. I think there's like 1,300 veterans that work at US Bank. Although it's not, that seems like a lot, but US Bank has 77,000 employees total. But being in the military does teach you a lot of self-reliance, self-discipline, being dependable, and that's what a lot of employers look for. A lot of qualities you learn in the military, a lot of employers like that as well. A lot of, especially banks like that, because obviously you live a higher level of ethics while you're in the military. You have different principles that you have to uphold, and that also is my own opinion on that, so don't take as face value, but that's just something that, yeah, some employers like to look at, and yeah, I would think that the military did help me get to where I'm at right now.
I worked on airplanes, so absolutely not. I mean, nothing to do with what I do now, so. It definitely did teach me some discipline. I didn't used to be a morning person, but the military, there's 12-hour shifts. You go get off watch for 12 hours, and you gotta go do a 12-hour, day check shift, where you're grinding gears on a fighter plane or whatever plane that, they got in the squadron. So I wouldn't say it definitely correlates to this job, but it definitely teaches you some life skills.
You guys have about 10 minutes left, just under.
Do you guys have to do any travel for your jobs?
I'm the only one that, probably there's people on my team that travel. I haven't been asked to travel yet, but we have to go do site visits for vendors who do various processes for us, whether it's collecting money or selling equipment that we still own. We go to their locations and make sure that they're doing the things that they tell us they're actually doing. So there's people on my team who do that. We have, I think there's, I don't know, just throwing a number, it might be like 10 to 15 visits that we do a year, and it's usually just people from my team that go out and do those visits.
You should actually sing top.
You're still not on that? Oh my gosh. I don't got time for all that right now.
Ask him if he has time after school, Andrea.
After school, yeah.
Before you joined the Toastmasters club, did you have a lot of social anxieties about not talking in front of people, or?
So
Everybody should give their own answer for this one.
So when I was in high school, I did competitive speech. I took a college speech course. So I was very comfortable giving prepared speeches that I had written and practiced. That was where my comfort level was. But I still get nervous. And I still got nervous doing that. But it's like the good nerves, where you're prepared for it, but you're just nervous because you know how it should play out and are people going to be receptive to it. But I was more nervous with impromptu speaking, where someone asks you a question that you're not necessarily prepared for, is the thing that gave me bigger nerves. And that's something, if you're in a meeting and someone calls on you to give an update on something and you're like, that's what I had more nerves on, and that's what I've improved the most with in Toastmasters. I've gotten better with my prepared speeches, but I came in with a higher level of those because I had done that for 5 years and been so thoroughly critiqued on that for such a long time, but I still have room to improve upon that.
Yeah, I never had like social anxiety. I like to talk, whatever. In grade school I was kind of just that person that was trying to be cool. You know, but another lesson I learned was just be yourself going into high school. So I didn't try to impress people. I didn't care. But Toastmasters allows me to do that. It just allows me to be myself and express myself in a way that I've never been able to do through speeches, through impromptu exercises that we do. So it definitely is definitely, you know, even just with you guys, even your football game tonight, you know, baseball games, you're gonna get nervous regardless of who you are. You could be the best public speaker in the world, but you're still gonna have nerves before every speech. So that's definitely, it's gonna happen, but it gives you the opportunity to work on that and to build your confidence when you're in front of people like we are right now. So.
I have gotten a lot better. I have told other classes this, I hated public speaking until I joined Toastmasters. I absolutely hated it. I would get nervous, my hands would shake. The first time I ever gave a speech, my hands were shaking so bad that nobody had said that they could see it. I think maybe they might have been lying to make me feel better, because I was sitting there like this, because I was that nervous. I have learned through Toastmasters I usually don't have my hands in my pocket, sorry, to use your hands. That actually helps your nerves. Use your hands to help speak, move sentences along, stuff like that. Hand gestures help you control your anxiety, control your nervousness, because if you're just sitting there holding your hands like this, you're gonna get nervous. Your hands are, what do they say, idle hands are the devil's playwork. And that's what it is. It's the devil's playground, there you go. And so that's why it's good to use your hands when you're public speaking. Not saying like you need to do this or like the Ricky Bobby move. I don't know what to do with my hands. Yeah, use your hands and it helps you calm your nerves. And that's something I've learned through Toastmasters. And Toastmasters has helped me a lot. And Beth and Ricky can attest to that.
For me, I did have some experience with dealing with stage fright. As a piano player, I had to learn pieces and play in recitals, play in front of people. It's not quite as different because I had all that chance to practice, and often I had my music with me when I was in front playing. When you come up to do your impromptu speech, you don't know what the topic is. But like anything, the more times you have a chance to practice, the better you will get at it. That's why I'm doing it, to actually have the chance to come up here, have that question asked, learn how to think quickly, provide an answer.
We've got about 3 minutes left to speak with these guys. What final words of advice might you have for them?
I would say just be a part of something bigger than yourself. Always believe in yourself. Never worry about the next person or what they think about you. Just strive for greatness in whatever it is you're going to do in life. That's really it. Don't take crap from anybody. Just be you, and everything else will work itself out.
I would say find something that you're passionate about, whether it's your job, it's a club that you're a part of, like Toastmasters, some volunteer opportunity that you have. Find something that gives your day, gives your life purpose, because that will make everything else significantly better. If you're passionate about something and you're doing that, you're just going to be happier and better in all aspects of your life.
Never be afraid to go outside your comfort zone. That is something that I do. That's why I joined Toastmasters, was to get outside my comfort zone. And it's helped me great, immensely. And also, even when you do get in the workforce or whatever you're going to do in life, and if you want to get a promotion at a job or something like that, a lot of times you're going to have to get outside your comfort zone to get that job you want. It's going to have to stretch your knowledge, stretch yourself in order to get to that next level. And sometimes that's what's required. You might not like it, you might hate your life for a couple weeks while you're trying to adjust, but that's just what happens. And I'm not saying you're going to hate everything, but I'm not trying to be pessimistic here and kill everyone's dreams in a second here, but it's just something, if you're not comfortable with something, it's going to make you nervous, and it's going to give you stress. But once you become better at it, your life will become a mess.
I'm going to say, know your skill set. Everybody here is a unique person and you have your own set of skills. There's lots of things that you do really well that some other people might not know. Know that so that you know what you need to continue to improve upon. I think that anybody that wants to advance in their volunteer work, in their day job, just in their own lives, you want to keep improving. So you need to know what to improve upon, really evaluate that, know which skills you do have, keep working on the ones that you want to add, and then know how to sell that to the other people around you.